that variable, right? So we basically provide a type, whether that variable it is a structure type or table type, and what type of data it will hold, that we will specify. But in JavaScript, if in JavaScript there is no such thing as possible. Okay, so first of all, in JavaScript, variables are declared without data types. That is the first thing. Second thing, variables, like one variable can hold any type of data. So for example, if you're considering that variable to hold array data, so you can store that. Let's consider you want to store the data of string type. So you can also store that. After that, let's say you want to store the object data. So that is also possible. So basically, one variable in JavaScript is responsible to hold any type of data. Okay, because data types or data, like the data types are defined on runtime for a variable in JavaScript. You cannot make any variable to hold only one type of data. That variable can hold any type of data, and the data type for that variable, it can be changed on runtime. So data types are basically handled dynamically on runtime in the JavaScript. So let me show you how that is done. So to declare a variables, so variables are declared in three ways. One is var, second is let, and third one is const. So there are three types of variables you can create in JavaScript using a var keyword. Second is let keyword, and third is the const keyword. So guys, the syntax I'm using here, all are small case. Okay, because in JavaScript, the naming convention it is followed is camel case. Okay, so camel case naming convention is followed in JavaScript. Means you see the way I have declared var keyword, it is in small case. Let's say you are making this v as a capital, it is invalid. Okay, so this you can using v as a capital, it is not a best practice. First of all, it will directly throw the error. It won't work. Okay, so I'll show you. So I'm declaring one variable here, var like name. So I have declared one variable var name. So if I'm writing var and after that name, can you see? Now we have one error. It says unexpected identifier name. Okay, because it's not able to identify whether name is a variable or var is a variable. It is not able to identify. Why? Because the v is capital now. See, all these var, let or const, all these are reserved keywords of JavaScript. So make sure that if I want to declare any variable, so make sure that is totally different from the standard reserved keywords. Because in JavaScript there are the list of keywords that we have. So apart from that, you can declare any other variable names, but don't use the variable names which are already reserved as a keywords. So that is, you already know that it should be followed for any programming language nowadays. So let me start with the var keyword. So basically we need a var only. We don't need let and const. Okay, in our actual UI5 development also, like most of the 100%, all the things can be achieved with the help of var keyword. So for today, like you can just consider let and const as an assignment. Okay, just note it down. Let and const, you just have to consider, you just have to go through with let and const keyword as an assignment for today. So I'll explain what is var keyword now and how to declare that. So just take it down, guys. Let and const. So this two variable declaration, you can keep it as an assignment, and just tomorrow, coming Saturday, I'll ask question about this. What is the purpose of let and what is the purpose of const, and what is the difference between var and let? Okay, so that will be a question that I'm going to ask on Saturday. So just take this let and const as an assignment. Have you noted it down?
Yeah, we.
Okay, fine. So let's start with the variable now. So what is a var keyword? So basically, variables are basically that are declared using a var keyword. So any variable in JavaScript, if you're declaring with a var keyword, so that variable will be considered as a global variables. Okay, so that variable will be considered as a global variables. We say it inside the JavaScript, but a same variable when you declare in UI5. So for sure, like most of the variables will be declared within the function, not outside the function. Because if you are declaring any variable outside the function, so that variable will, the scope of that variable will be global. Means that variable you can use it in any function. But if I'm declaring a same variable within a function, so the scope of that variable will be local to that function. The scope of that variable will not be global. Means there are two functions. Let's consider. I already know like you don't know the function in JavaScript, but still I'm writing. Let's consider I have this function. So this is one function, and inside this I have declared var name. So this is the variable which I have declared. Again, I have one more function, okay, which has var first name. So in the two functions, I have two different variables, and one more variable I will have that will be declared outside. Okay, let's consider this is the variable which I have declared, and this is outside. So let's say I want to access name variable inside the function f2. Will that be possible to access? Do you think that name variable we can access inside the function f2? It's
No.
not possible. Okay, because the scope of this name variable, it is local. It is only locally available within the f1 function. It's not, the scope of that variable is not available outside. So this variable is the local variable. Okay, so similarly, first name is also local variable. But what about the last name? So last name I have declared outside the function f2 and f1. So if I want to use this last name variable inside the f2 and f1, it's possible because this variable is the global variable. Okay, so I'll show you like actually in Java in UI5 application how we declare a global variables and what is the syntax of that. Okay, but at least it is clear the difference between local and global variables. Any questions here,
Yes.
guys? Okay,
No, no, no.
okay. So now let's understand what are variables. So in JavaScript, variables are like containers. Containers means a thing which will store the information. So similarly in JavaScript, variables are like a containers. Means this containers or these variables will hold some information, and that information is only available till that session. If the session is ended, so after that you won't see like any information stored within that variable. Everything will be cleared out, right? So similarly in JavaScript, variables are like container which will store the data. Okay, so let me show you like how to store a data. So I'm just going to clear this out. So how I have to declare a variable. So I have to write var, and then I'll give name equal to sign, and then I will provide the value. So let's say I'm storing a value as John. So name, it is a variable, and the type of variable, is there any type that I have defined here? No. So as I said, the data types are handled on runtime. Okay, so data types are handled on runtime. So in this variable, I'm storing a data in string data type. Okay, so any value which is being stored as a double quotes, like you can see the double quotes, right? So this values you can basically call it as a string values. So if I'm passing or if I'm storing any value without a double quotes, like directly a variable, so that can be considered as a number data type. So let me tell you what are the different data types in JavaScript. So in JavaScript, there are different data types, like we have a string. So in JavaScript, we have a string data type. Second, we have a number. Third, we have array. So all these guys we will cover. Okay. Then after that we have object. Fifth, we have undefined. And sixth, we have null. So all these are different data types available in the JavaScript. Okay, so only we have very less data types available in the JavaScript. It's not like again your number can be divided in decimal or in 32 in 64. Nothing. There is no such concept in the JavaScript. Okay, all the variables, if you are declaring it as a number which is a floating point or it has a decimal and all, everything will be considered as a number only. Okay, so there is only a single data type for that. It is number. So what about the string? So in string, basically, if you're declaring any value in this way or in single quotes like this, so both these values will be considered as a string values. Okay, so these are the string values. What about the number? Number, like you can just add it as 23. Let's consider. So this is the number which is without double quotes and single quotes. So if you're adding a double quotes here, that will be automatically the data type will be string data type. It won't be called as a number data type. Okay, so 23, it is a number. Again, let's say 23.33 or 22. This is also a number. And again, you can add anything like 0.1. Everything will be the number in JavaScript. What about the array? So any data, if it is getting stored within a square brackets, like you're adding value 1, comma value 2. So any values, if you're storing in the square brackets, that can be called as a array values. So after that, what about the object? So any values, if you're storing in within a curly brackets. Okay. So within a curly brackets, so that can be called as a objects. Okay, so this is the syntax is basically followed for the object. So just remember all this syntax. Okay, in string, we always have to go with double quotes or single quotes. In number, you can directly declare a number values. Don't add any a string name. Okay, you will add a string name and then you will think why it can't be converted to number. So whatever the digits are there, only that we have to use. So in array, values are already, it should be displayed in square brackets. For object, we have to always go with curly brackets. And what about the undefined? So undefined, guys, explicitly we don't have to use it because any variable, if you're declaring, initially the data type for that variable will be undefined. I'll tell you when it's undefined later on, undefined and null. Okay, so let's get start with the actual content now. So let it be. So let me add a name variable. So I have on the top I have declared this name variable, right? So this is the name variable which I have declared and it's storing the value as John here. Right? So this John value, it's been this value is already we have stored within a name variable. Now how to check whether what type of value this variable is holding? So you can simply use type of. A type of it is a standard keyword or operator, you can say. Within that, you can directly pass variable name. So all this, whatever the names I'm using, all these are standard reserved keywords of JavaScript. And the syntax, the way I'm declaring the syntax and all, everything should be same. Okay, you cannot add O, you cannot make O as a capital. It will not work in that case. So I'm just added a type of method and in which I have passed a name variable name. So this name I already know it's holding the value in the string format. So this type of is basically used for checking the type of that variable. So type of that variable is string. Can you see? The type of variable is string now. OK, so so what I can say the data type for this variable is the string data type. So guys, any questions here? So at least you got it how to store the variables. Sorry, how to create a variable. So variable we have to create with var keyword followed by variable name. So for variable name, what are the naming convention and what are the rules that we need to follow? What are the rules for declaring any variable? So any variable, basically, like you can declare any variable which is starting with letters, which is starting with underscore, and which can start with a dollar sign. Okay, so variable name can always begin with letters, underscore, and dollar sign. So that is the variable name. So let's say if you're creating any variable which is starting with a number, so that variable you cannot call it as a valid variable. Okay, let's say I'm creating a variable like one name. So this is the variable I'm creating. So this variable name is not expected. Okay, because this is an invalid syntax. So variable name can always start with variable name can always start with letter, dollar sign, and underscore. So only these three options are available whenever you are declaring any variable. Second thing, the name that you are providing to the variable, it should follow the camel case naming convention. So what is a camel case, guys? Any idea? What is a camel case? Means I'm creating one variable as a first name. Okay, so this is the first name which I'm variable I'm creating. So how you can declare in camel case, like the first letter of the first word, it should be in small case. The first letter of second word, it should be in capital case. Okay, so this is the camel case. So in earlier, like n was small, but in camel case naming convention, n should be capital. The first letter of second word should be in capital. So this is the camel case naming convention. So any variable name, if you're declaring variable name or function name you're declaring, it should always start with capital case. Sorry, it should always use the camel case naming convention. Okay, so now let me show you like, so any value if you're storing in the variable, how you can store that using a equal to sign. So if I want to create one more variable like first name, so this is my first name variable. So in the first name variable, I want to store John as a value. So I have to give equal to sign. Okay, only one equal to sign, not two equal to sign. If you provide a two equal to sign, then this will not be called as a variable. Okay, this values will not be stored in the inside the variable. Basically, two equal tos, three equal tos is only used for checking the condition, not for storing any values. So always remember that. So guys, any questions here for the variable declaration? So
No.
can we move to first data type now? String. So let's say like what is string now and what are the different methods available in the string? What are the properties? So let's understand that now. So guys, you want to take 5 minutes break here? Shall we take 5 minutes break here? So
Yes.
let's continue at 10:05. Okay, so just be in call, just be on mute. So guys, let's continue now. Okay. So guys, after yeah, let's start with the string data type now. So any variable or anything like any variable which is holding a data in double quotes or single quotes. So that variable you can call it as a string data type. So that variable, it's holding a data which is of string data type. Okay. So now in this case, we have one variable as a first name. So first name, it is a variable which is holding a data in the string data type. So because the data which I have declared, it is declared inside the single quote. Okay. But instead of that, if you're declaring it inside the double quotes in this way, then also you can call it as a string only. Okay, because the data like which is being added or which is being declared inside the double or single quote, that can be called as a string data type in this. So it can be anything like you can store a single value or you can store the entire sentence or entire message also you can add of couple of lines like 2 or 3 or 4 or even 10 lines, whatever you prefer. But that entire code or entire value will be considered as a string data type. OK, so that is the main purpose behind that. So what are the different methods which are available in the string data type? First of all, I'll show you like how the escaping is done within a string data type, and then we can move to the methods which are available for the string data type. Okay, so let's clear this. So let's say I'm creating one um, variable as msg equal to. So this is my variable, and inside that I want to display a message. Okay. Okay, let's consider this is the message I want to display. Now, within this, I want to highlight this two things like John Doe. It has to be highlighted like inside the single quote or double quotes, whatever. Like let's say I want to assign it as a double quotes. Okay, and I will just enter. So can you see like I'm getting this error, unexpected identifier John. So can you tell me like what wrong I have done in the syntax?
We can add the name of candidate is should close there, then another.
Right. See, like outside, I have already declared double quotes. Again, inside double quotes, it's not possible. So instead of that, we have to go with single quotes. Okay, vice versa. Like if outside I'm using double quotes, inside you can only use single quote. But if outside I'm using single quote, then inside you can use double quote. But the same thing you cannot use inside. If you are using, then it will be considered as a then what will happen as soon as it identifies double quote? So from their place, the string will end again. It will consider a new string. OK, so that is the problem. So if I want to achieve the same thing, then outside I have to declare single quotes. Then this will work. OK, so it will work again. If I type MSG, then it will return the value in this format. Now you got it. So again, for double quotes also like so if I want to use single quotes inside, so outside I have to specify double quotes. OK, so this is also one more way to achieve that. So one more way is there, like you can also use the backslash here in order to achieve the same thing. So slash you can use as soon as you add a